There was a huge spoiler in episode 10 of season 7 of Outlander. Did you catch it? This will have huge spoilers for the books and the TV show, so as always, if you are looking to avoid them, please do keep on scrolling. Now, I will be the first to admit, I almost didn't catch the spoiler myself. It was very subtle, and if you are not a book reader, you would not have any idea the significance of this scene in particular. So we see William sitting opposite Rachel Hunter as they wait for Claire to finish her surgery on his cousin Henry. And in this moment, he is feeling very anxious about the whole thing. We see him reach into his coat pocket for something, and he starts fiddling around with it in his hands. Then we get a zoomed in, up close look at him holding rosary beads. Now, at first glance, if you haven't read the books, this would not mean anything to you. But in the books, these rosary beads were given to him by Jamie when he was a child. I would highly suggest ahead of the next 2 episodes that you go rewatch season 3, episode 4, titled Of Lost Things, because it will have serious implications for piecing together events that should be taking place in the show. This particular episode is important for 2 reasons. It foreshadows events that will take place between the William and Jamie storyline, and also events that will take place between Jamie, Claire, and Lord John Grey. So just as a refresher and to paint the picture for people who have not read the books, currently in the show, both Claire and Lord John Grey are convinced that Jamie has died on the ship crossing over from Scotland to America. They have no reason to believe otherwise, but if you are a book reader, the chapters after the announcement that his ship went down, we actually go back to Jamie's point of view, and we learn that he did not get on the ship he was due to, and him and Jenny actually get on another ship heading toward America. So everyone in America thinks that Jamie and Jenny are deceased, but book readers already know that they just got on a different ship. Lord John Grey marries Claire to protect her because she is being accused of being a spy, and this is when things get very cuckoo crazy bananas for Lord John Grey, Jamie, and Claire. Based on the title cards for the episodes, I suspect that in episode 11, we will see the moment where Lord John Grey and Claire sleep together. This comes out of both of them being incredibly lonely, depressed, desperate, and it's a very controversial moment in the Outlander story for book readers, and I'm super curious to see how they handle it in the show. Now, the reason why this scene in particular and this episode in particular is important is because in the aftermath of Claire and Lord John sleeping together, they have a discussion about this conversation that Lord John had with Jamie. While at Hellwater, Jamie is deciding to leave because he is starting to notice that William is looking more and more like him and suspects and worries that someone will make the connection that Willie is his child. And Lord John Grey agrees with him that it is for the best that he chooses now to leave. Jamie asks to have a conversation with Lord John Grey, at which point he asks if he would look after Willie as though he was his son and take care of him in Jamie's absence. In exchange for that, Jamie offers Lord John his body, something that he knows Lord John has wanted for quite some time since their days at Ardsmuir, and Lord John Grey is completely taken aback by this offer. He expresses to him that although he would love to take him up on it, he thinks far too highly of Jamie to ever consider doing that, and he values their friendship more than what he is offering him. This is a really poignant conversation and an important place in their friendship. So again, highly suggest rewatching this episode. Jamie shakes John's hand and tells him at that point, "You will always have my friendship," something that again is going to come back and haunt Lord John when Jamie suddenly appears in America, back from the dead. Now, this is also an important moment in William's life because he remembers the day that Mac left him, and he felt incredibly betrayed and lonely when he just walked away and out of his life. In the lead up to Jamie's departure, we can see how close they are and how he is able to love and parent William from a distance, but he also observes William's strong, determined mind, stubbornness, and all the ways that his personality mirrors that of Jamie. We have this scene between William and Jamie where William asks if he can be a stinking papist like Jamie, and they share an important moment for Jamie because he's able to baptize him William James. We can clearly tell that William wants to be like Mac in so many ways, and for Jamie, it only makes it harder for him to leave. He tells William in this scene that he is a stinking papist like him and baptizes him William James so that they have the shared name James together, and this comes up again later in the story. He also gifts William a carved snake similar to the one that his older brother William gave him. Jamie says Sonny in the back because that was his nickname, and Jamie carves Willie in the back of this snake. This is where the show departing from the books is going to be difficult to come back from, because in the books, Jamie does not give him this carved snake. He gives him the rosary beads. The same rosary beads that we see William holding here. So this little boy was given rosary beads from a man, Mac, that he loved and didn't want to go, and then is left by him as a child and felt very, very abandoned at this point in time. Everyone in this scenario was deeply affected by Jamie leaving William. And William carried these rosary beads on him throughout his life. In the books, when he is left with the hunters for medical attention, young Ian brings him to the hunters for the first time. He actually has a conversation following Denzel taking care of him, where Denzel is giving him back his clothes and he's looking for the rosary beads, and Denzel hands them to him and tells him that they had to remove them from him when they were taking care of him. So he keeps them on his person. And then the show reminds us of the rosary beads in this scene here. But again, because they had Jamie give him the Sonny snake for William, I'm curious if they're going to be able to amend this and tie these rosary beads back to Jamie like they are in the book. Now again, major spoilers. When Jamie returns, because he does return, he goes straight to Lord John Grey's house to look for Claire. This happens after Lord John and Claire have slept together and have had their conversation about Jamie and how much they both mourn and miss him. And Lord John Grey cannot believe his eyes when he sees Jamie, because he knows shit is about to hit the fan. Jamie enters the house, finds Claire, and they have their moment where they reconnect, but he is being followed by British soldiers at this point, and William sees the British soldiers entering the home and follows after them. When William comes face to face with Jamie in the hallway, he is instantly able to recognize the way he looks like him. And in the books, they really hammer home that they are almost identical and they share the same cat-like eyes. Obviously in the show they resemble one another, but not as much as the books like to try and convey to us. And he asks Jamie, "Who are you?" And Jamie says, "I'm James Fraser." And he's so flustered that he says, "Then who the hell am I?" And Jamie says, "You're a stinking papist." William is instantly brought back to this scene. He realizes that it's Mac. He feels all the feelings of betrayal and loss and anger. And he is so upset that he starts reaching for something to throw at Jamie and ends up grabbing the rosary beads and throwing them at Jamie's head. So these are important, and I really, really hope that the show is able to tie them back into the storyline, because they removed them by changing the rosary with the snake. I think the snake was a little easier for show viewers to feel attached to, given that we know that he had one from his brother William. But now this is going to be important again. So I hope that this plays out probably in the next episode, and maybe potentially a little bit more into episode 12. So much happens in this scene. This is just a little glimpse at what's going to take place when William and Jamie come face to face once again, and I'm super curious to see how the show handles it. But here's your spoiler. This is a very important Easter egg.